Are all batteries the same? That's like asking if all soccer players are the same. Take Messi, the most decorated player ever. Is there any other player who has achieved that? No, just him. Now take Duracell. Is there any other battery with power boost ingredients inside? No, just Duracell. Remember, goats only trust goats because they're built different. And Messi only trusts Duracell.
The new LinkedIn Hiring Pro can't undo your last hire, the no-show. Who set you back because they didn't show up on day one, or day two, or ever again. And now your product launch is delayed because you're talking to alien abduction podcasters to track them down. But LinkedIn Hiring Pro can help make sure your next hire sticks. In fact, businesses who use LinkedIn are 24% less likely to reopen a role in the next 12 months. Hire right the first time with LinkedIn Hiring Pro. Post a free job today at linkedin.com/quality.
I think the older that I've got here now, it's less about plays. We're all running the same plays, man. We all got forward switch. You got spacing concepts. You're running nakeds, RPOs. Like we're all doing the same stuff. Inside zone, counter, duo, power. But I think the servanthood mentality that now trying to get with my guys and get my players to play at their absolute best, I think I've taken more pride in that.
Welcome to Football IQ on the Coaching Coordinator Network. This series is about a part of football that matters as much as anything we do as coaches, and that's football IQ. We spend a lot of time talking about scheme, technique, drills, and game plans, but at the end of the day, the players who separate themselves and the teams that play the fastest are usually the ones that understand the game at a deeper level. They can recognize structure, process information, anticipate what is coming, and make better decisions in real time. That's becoming harder to teach. Players today see a lot of football, but they often see it in clips, highlights, and short segments on social media. They're watching plays, but not always learning the game in full context. That's why we wanted to build this series. With Football IQ, presented by American Football IQ, we're going to talk with coaches and teachers of the game about how they develop smarter players, how they train recognition and decision-making, and how they help athletes truly understand what they're seeing. If you want to help your players see the game more clearly and play with more confidence, check out our partner, American Football IQ. They're building tools and resources that help players, coaches, and parents grow their understanding of the game. The link is in the show notes. Let's get into today's episode.
Hey, it's Bill from the Bill Simmons podcast. FIFA World Cup 26 fans, listen up. Is the official beer sponsor of the FIFA World Cup 26. Michelob Ultra is giving away $1 million worth of FIFA World Cup 26 tickets and prizes. Enter now at MichelobUltra.com/superior access/FIFA World Cup 26. Michelob Ultra FIFA World Cup 26 superior access. No purchase necessary. Open U.S. residents 21 plus begins on December 1st, 2025. Ends on July 31st, 2026. Multiple entry periods. Visit www.MichelobUltra.com/superior access/FIFA World Cup 26 for free entry deadlines, prizes, and details.
Welcome to Football IQ on the Coaching Coordinator Network. Football isn't just plays, it's anticipating defenses on offense, reading routes as a defender, spotting stunts or blitzes before they land. When everyone's fast and strong, the sharpest mind on either side of the ball wins. That's what we're exploring today with a true master. Joining us, Jorge Munoz, Associate Head Coach and Tight Ends Coach at the University of Louisiana at Lafayette, and a national champion with LSU in 2019. A former standout quarterback and two-time All-American at Bethany College, Jorge has over 25 years of coaching experience, including time as offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach with the Ragin' Cajuns. Jorge, thanks for coming on. Great to have you. How's the latest chapter back at UL Lafayette treating you?
Yeah, man, things are going great, man. You just said right now, 25 years, man. Yeah, that's how long that I've been doing this, and was fortunate to be here at one time for 10 straight years. And because of a coaching change, we had to leave, so we left for 4 years, and then we came back again. And so now we're just going into year 5 on the second stint at UL. So it's been good. Really good people here.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I mean, you grew up in Southern California, man, but when I hear you talk or I listen to any of your old interviews, sounds like you grew up in the South. You definitely have got the accent, man. And it's been fun watching your career and getting to know you, early on in my coaching career. And you've always been really great to me. So thanks again for coming on, and look forward to jumping into some stories here as we go.
Sounds good, man. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, sir. So you had a strong career as a college quarterback. At what point did you transition mentally to become a coach? Was it while you're still playing, or what was that event for you?
So I thought maybe that I probably was going to coach at an early age. I don't know when that was, maybe high school, I think, probably so. I think some of the most influential people in my life were coaches. And so between head coaches, offensive coordinators, my dad kind of coached me as well too, as far as some little league stuff and some Pop Warner stuff. And so as I got into college, I thought maybe, hey, the high school route sounds like a good deal, can always have a job, that type of thing. Until I went to go student teach, and I was around 7th and 8th graders for a semester. And I finally decided that's not the route I want to go. Maybe I could try the college route a little bit. And things just kind of worked out. And then, like you said, 25 years later, man, here we are.
Yeah, I could relate to that. Getting out of college and substitute teaching. I was substitute teaching down in the Sweetwater School District, and thought to myself, this is not what I want to do, be in the classroom for a ton of years with people that kind of have to be here. And coaching college ball was always a goal of mine, because shoot, those kids are recruited. And so I'm sure that was a similar sentiment.
That's exactly what it was. So like we had 7th, 8th graders who didn't want to be there. Teachers didn't want to be there. Administrators, they were waiting for the weekend. There was countdown always going on. So it was one of those things where, man, let's go to some place where people actually want to be there. Exactly what you said. In the college world, I think most people do want to be where they're at. So exactly what you're saying.
Absolutely. So you've coached different positions. You've been a coordinator. As you bring new people into your program, now I know that there's the vetting process while you're recruiting people to determine, whether they're the right fit. But as you bring new people in, what's your status quo in regards to testing their football IQ?
Well, I think the older that I've gotten, from that standpoint, I think getting good people first, I think, is far more important than really what their football IQ is. I think at any level, maybe, I think if you have a good coordinator in place, I think it's his job as a coach the coaches anyways, as far as some of the rules of the offense, some of the technique that's going to be needed to be able to execute the stuff that the offense coordinator or defense coordinator wants. I think finding good quality coaches that are going to care about their players, are going to work good with the group, are going to be open to new ideas, can bring maybe some new ideas as well. I think that's maybe more important than just going out and getting 4 guys maybe that all have their own systems in place and they believe it in what they're doing, which is a positive thing. But at some point, if you have everyone bringing ideas to the table, I don't know how much work you're going to get done. So I think having smart, reliable, hardworking individuals, I think, is far more important than just a football IQ side of it.
That's good. I think too many chefs in the kitchen, right? Wanting to have their fingerprints on everything is.
I think that's a real thing too, as well, especially when you get into game prep mode and, it's Sunday night and it's Monday night and, it's Tuesday night getting ready for third downs. And then, all these thoughts and all these ideas, which is all good stuff, but all that stuff should have happened in the off season, right? All that stuff should have happened in spring, summertime. And so, sometimes a Tuesday night is not the time, or a Wednesday morning is not the time to have this new philosophy, this new scheme up on the board, something that the kids don't know and the coaches don't know either. So I think there's value to just finding out, who you are, and then, working that process from day one.
No, that's good. That's good. In regards to planning and getting ready for ball games, I've heard Bruce Arians talk about the most critical downs should probably be covered early on in the week when you have more energy, as you're prepping. Have you ever heard that? Have you ever heard of coaches maybe reverse engineering, looking at third down red area plays or looking at blitz reels early in their prep process so that they're able to give their best focus to the most important areas?
I've never been around that, but man, that does make some sense, honestly. I know here, for instance, what we'll do is we'll do the red area on Sunday, just because from the standpoint of the red area and or a goal line, just the amount of plays that it takes to actually kind of study that doesn't take that long. And we'll buy some time on a Sunday afternoon practice as far as installing some of that stuff, just because you're not going to have a lot of clips in those areas. And each coach here, though, has a different area. So mentally those coaches are kind of involved in the game planning of those areas by Sunday night, by Monday anyway. So that philosophy does make sense. And I think that now we don't finalize those things until maybe Wednesday morning, but the thought process with that coach is happening Sunday night and or Monday though. So I do believe in that. That does make a lot of sense.
Now we're kind of going down a rabbit hole here, but I just seen recent news. USC hired an AI specialist for their staff, and I know some of the bigger programs that have the funding and the resources probably following suit as well. What have you guys done in regards to AI, and do you have a particular person that type of stuff runs through, or are you all just kind of doing different things as it relates to AI?
Yeah, I don't think we're down that rabbit hole just yet. I think there's probably going to be some value to what that can do for you. Right now we're just into that analytics side of things right now, as far as just trying to figure out, when's the best time to kick a field goal, when's the best time to go for it on fourth down, based off our numbers, based off the opponent numbers. Right. How good is their punter? How good is their field goal kicker? How good is their defense ranked against our offense? And so we use those numbers right now. I assume that AI will probably adjust some of those numbers maybe a little bit as far as the information that it can gather. The problem with even with some of that stuff is bad weather days, windy days, Yeah. I know we do have some books that do account for some of that stuff, but some of that stuff still has to be, I believe, a game time decision as well. How well is your quarterback throwing it that week? How good is your kicker kicking it that week? How about your long snapper? Is your backup long snapper now in the game? I think there's a lot of different factors that do go into that, but all those tools, I think are meaningful and very helpful on the front end. I still think it does come down to just a little bit of gut after gathering all the information and then spit out maybe what the best answer is in that moment. But I do believe some of that stuff is helpful, but we're not down that path yet. I know just hearing about, now we play USC week 2, so we'll see what type of information that's going to happen against us and stuff. But yeah, I think all that stuff is exciting. It's going to happen. It just hasn't happened to our level just yet, maybe.
Yes, sir. So pivoting back to your playing days, I'm really tight with Russ Martin. He's been a mentor to me, and he's always spoken very highly of you. And you shattered a lot of records as a QB and put up a lot of numbers. How did you see the game as a young quarterback? How would you kind of characterize that?
Well, I don't think I saw the game as well as I did until I got with Coach Martin, who I think had the ability to kind of really break down the game for me, was able to. That was the first time ever that I believe I was really in true 5 receiver sets and empty backfield. We're going back now, 1995, when I think maybe some of that stuff was fairly new, maybe a little bit. And so he kind of opened my eyes to what the quarterback thought process needs to be, from a pre-snap standpoint, and then where the eyes need to go right after the snap. Really that foundational piece, those pieces that I actually learned from Coach Martin have kind of stuck with me on this whole time. And I'm sure I got branched off here and there, but like that was the first time that my eyes were actually opened up to this whole passing game and what a pre-snap read can do, and understanding your hots and understanding side adjust and all that stuff there, which I don't think many people side adjust anymore. But it was eye-opening for the first time to hear those things and actually have a game plan, like a game plan in your head right before the snap, and then a game plan what we're going to do right after the snap. So all that stuff was new to me, and like it all stemmed from Coach Martin. So it's all from him.
Oh, that's awesome. He does work for American Football IQ, and we've put together a course on his football theory and integrated a bunch of cut-ups on that. I need to give you access to that so you can take a look. I'm sure it's...
Man, I've been coaching now for, like you said, 25 years, and I would put Coach Martin up against any other coach that I've been around in my entire lifetime so far. That guy knows ball, man. That guy is awesome. And again, better human being as well.
Amen. No, that's good. And you brought up the character piece early, right? And I think that's been a common theme as I've done these interviews with coaches. And characters is very important because it's a time spent away from the building. It's a time spent on task, right? These athletes taking care of themselves, and then when they're training, spending time on the right things, going to class, treating people with respect, and being where they're supposed to be. I know that character piece is really important. I've spoken to NFL coaches, and there's some schools of thought that they need to be able to track the grittiness of the player and have a grit chart. Do you guys have any type of grit chart or a characteristic component that you're looking for, and you essentially stack rank people as you bring them into your organization?
No, we don't. I think most of that stuff, I think you maybe can tell just throughout the day-to-day aspects as far as what these guys are asked to do nowadays. Just the workout routine that they have with the academic side of it still there. The extra work that we're asking those guys to do. Sometimes, those guys kind of going through a little nagging injury, tough situations in practice. Here in Louisiana, it gets really hot and humid, especially in August. And we're out there at 10 o'clock in the morning when there's still dew coming off the grass. And so that's going to test some guys a little bit. And so times like that, or even just off season working out as far as conditioning runs. This Friday morning, we got 16 110s coming. We're going to see some grittiness and some gutness happen right there. As a matter of fact, which ones are tapping out early, which ones are fighting through. And so I think we're still kind of old school from that standpoint. We're going to gauge it on the field. Basically, we're going to gauge it as far as what their work ethic is. When they're tired, are they still going to come back and catch some more jugs? Are they going to go hit the sled? Are they going to watch some more tape? That's the kind of grittiness I think that we all want to see. I think that stuff's important as well, not just for the coaches to see, but also for the teammates to also kind of see, what those guys are about in those hot situations, in those tough situations, when you're tired, because we all understand and know at some point throughout the season, throughout the game, they're going to be hot, they're going to be tired. And, what's that fight going to be like then, right? But I think that fight is shown. It's shown in the off season, right? It's shown in June and July and in August and things like that. So that little rating scale that you have, though, I mean, that sounds really cool. Like, I would love to see it, as a matter of fact, but no, man, we don't have nothing like that yet here.
I have it in my notes. I'll ship it over after we're
That'd
done
be
with the
great.
interview.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. In regards to where you've been, we talked about that you've been at LSU. And I remember staying in touch with you and asking you some questions about Joe Burrow's development. It was fun to see you at, New York City on, over there for his Heisman ceremony. And can you talk about, when I asked a question before, back in the day when I was doing some research, we had talked about his transition from his first year at LSU to his second year and the continuity of footwork and then him being able to give some feedback on what he liked. How would you explain his development there at LSU and what kind of set him apart?
Yeah, that stuff is all him. Okay. So I didn't do anything. We didn't do anything. There's no magical formula for Joe Burrow, man. Those guys come through maybe once in a lifetime, maybe. But you talk about a guy when he first got there in 2018, he got there for the summertime. So, first week in June. And from that point on, I think he won every single conditioning race. I think he was first. He was first in the building. He was last to leave. Just a competitive spirit for any aspect, for anything that he was doing. And that's just him. That's just who he was right there. So the big picture, piece is, as far as him getting better, is just the fact that, you got a guy who was showing up number 5 on the depth chart when he got there and competing for a job. And, he won the job in fall camp. And so, didn't know his receivers that well, barely knew the offense well enough. So, to give him an entire offseason, a spring with his receivers. And then we did bring in Joe Brady in 2019 and bring in an entire new offense. So now they're all learning that stuff all together. And I think they formed a good little bond. They gelled up. They're out there working now. They're out there throwing 2-3 times a week as well to be sure that Joe's seeing it the way that the receivers see it, and the receivers also seeing it the way that Joe saw it. So all that stuff, it really started to show that spring in 2019, as a matter of fact. When you got an LSU offense that is just tearing up an LSU defense, that doesn't happen normally. And then that continues on during fall camp when we're just hitting big plays and 18-yard hits here and 50-yard touchdowns there against a really good LSU defense. That's when we started to know that, hey, man, maybe we really got something here. And I think off that season, I think something like 15, 16, 17 guys drafted or something like that. But I don't think after the 18th season, though, that anyone knew it was going to be that many guys, though. So just I think the amount of work that that those guys all just poured into that season. It all just happened, and it all just kind of, came together because of the people that they are.
Yeah, absolutely. As far as footwork, what are some different variations of footwork that Joe used that year, and in what scenarios did he use them? For instance, in quick game, I give quarterbacks two options, either pivot, rock, or ball, or step to the throw, and then obviously if it's like a box fade, slide step, stick concept, slide step, what were the different variations of footwork that Joe used that season, if you could recall?
Yeah. So naturally you want your footwork to match your routes, obviously. And so, with quick game stuff or ball out now first stuff, right? So bubbles and nows, which we probably didn't throw a whole bunch of those, but that was catch release type stuff, right? Trying to get everything, all your body weight towards your target there. And then you jump into a quick game, right? So that was just one step timing for us. So Joe came in with a punch footwork, which we actually tried to get rid of. So we had it during the 18 season, I believe. Maybe we spent the entire spring and summer as far as getting rid of the punch up. I know that raises a bunch of issues with a lot of people out there. Some people like the punch, some people don't. So what we were trying to do was just simply just trying to get the ball out just a hair faster. And so we got rid of the punch step with his left foot. So we kept that thing stationary in the ground. We did have to adjust his feet a little bit, but the ball was coming out even that much faster. We thought we had a lot of inside slant games. We had a lot of hitch routes, slants, not too many outbreaking routes. Joe can throw it, but Joe was always fearful of, like any quarterback, the field outs, right? That type of stuff. So we avoided that type of route structure there. And then the box fade. So we went to like a 1.5 type of step there, which is, we called it like 1.5. I don't know what other people really term that there. All that footwork though really stemmed from Drew Brees, actually. Again, because we took on their offense basically. So we studied Drew Brees and noticed his footwork during this type of quick game, this footwork on this type of option route, and then drop back game, what he was doing there. And then we married it up here a little bit. But we also asked Joe too as well. Joe, what do you think about this? Joe, how about that? What are your thoughts on this? I think that's probably where like our best coaching actually came from. As a matter of fact, it wasn't just us telling all these good players what to do. There was a system in place. Here was the route structure. Here was the plan. Here's, where we're going to start with. But I think where the real coaching was in getting with those guys and figure out, hey, do you like an inside release better? Do you like an outside release better? What type of footwork do you want to match this route with? Hey, how about your eyes here? There was a lot more back and forth. I think it would start with the starting point first, but it would veer off into basically what we felt or what they felt that was more comfortable for them a little bit.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's the type of environment that I love, where the players have ownership and they're going to be more locked in with that, right? They know that they're going to be listened to and their voice has, is going to mean something.
Got some weight to it. Yeah.
Yeah. Today's episode is presented by American Football IQ. One of the biggest challenges coaches face right now is this. Players are seeing more football than ever, but they are not always learning how to understand the game in full context. They watch clips, they see highlights, but they don't always learn how to recognize coverage, identify fronts, understand leverage, or connect what is happening before and after the snap. That is why tools that help teach football IQ matter. American Football IQ is built to help players learn the game visually through flashcards that train recognitions, coverages, fronts, protections, gap control, the kind of things players have to see faster if they want to play fast. This is not just about memorizing terms. It's about helping players recognize patterns quicker, process information faster, and play with more confidence when the ball is snapped. So whether you're coaching quarterbacks, skill guys, linemen, or just looking for a better way to teach the game, check out American Football IQ and see how they are helping players build real understanding that carries to the field. You can start with Volume 1 or get the full bundle at AmericanFootballIQ.com. There is also an online community that can be accessed on the AmericanFootballIQ.com website, where each flashcard has a video explaining it in more detail with film. Play fast. So one of the things I like to study is the different read systems that exist. There's R4 out there. There's, pure progression. There's defender reads. There's different ways that people communicate this type of stuff and bucket reads. Just from like a 10,000 foot view, how do you organize your read structure when teaching a quarterback?
So what we did was, like our quick game, we would have full swipe reads basically. So any type of spacing concept. So full swipe, right? You're going to start like on the right side, you're going to work 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 across the board, right? Everything's in front of you, at the same level for the most part, as far as, spacing concepts, anywhere from either at the line of scrimmage with the arrow route and or anywhere from 4 to 5 to maybe the most 8 or 9 yards deep, right? And so I always thought that maybe like the easiest read for the quarterback would be a swipe read. I think the next best is an actual pure progression, which might kind of fall into that family as a swipe read. But now there's an alert tag on there somewhere. You got a post or a go maybe somewhere. And then the progression is 1, 2, 3, 4, again, left to right, maybe a little bit of a high to low in there as well. But still, for the most part, progression is really where that third and fourth and fifth options are coming back into your vision, basically, right? So we never wanted like a full progression read where you got 2 outbreaking routes that are going opposite of each other. Obviously, right? That's just really difficult. And so we got that philosophy actually from Drew Brees and from Tom Brady, who said that they always liked that third or fourth or fifth combination, that backside dig showing up. So you got flood to the field, then you got a spot by number 2 in the boundary, then you got a dig coming by number 1 in the boundary. So that way stuff was coming into his line of vision, basically, right? Which all that philosophy is actually really quite different than back what I was teaching back in the day as far as, pick a side stuff, right? So the pick a side philosophy would be like in quick game world. So the quick game world versus drop back, the pick a side, a little bit different, okay? Quick game pick a side would simply be you got 2 outbreaking routes by number 1, you got two hitch routes by number 2, right? I'm just going to pick a side just based off best leverage, right? Coach Martin would say, okay, softest cushion, shortest throw, right? Simple philosophy, right? I got the corner on the right. He's at 9 yards off the ball. All right. 9 by 1. And I got the corner that's on the left. He's 6 by 1. Well, obviously I'm going to choose the corner that's on the right because he's 9 yards off the ball right there. Right. So that's probably simpler type stuff right there. Right. And then the other pick a side though, a little bit more difficult would be either 2 high or a 1 high pick a side, right? So I got my 2 high beater on the right, I got my 1 high beater on the left. The problem with that aspect though became just how multiple that these defenses can actually be nowadays, right? Like it ain't just straight up cover 2 and straight up cover 3. It's combo coverages and you got match to one side and you cloud to the other, just all that funky stuff. So like I felt that that was far more difficult nowadays to do than back in the day. I do think there is some merit though to that philosophy of pick a side as far as man zone stuff. Okay. As long as I got a man zone indicator, maybe with the motion, with the formation, something that might tell me, okay, here's your man side over here. Go ahead and attack this side as a man beater with a pick, or if I got just a matchup opportunity there. But going back though, I still think that the most simplest is still swipe reads and progression reads moving forward, just because of what the defense can do to you nowadays. And I don't know if your quarterback has to know all the details of the coverage anymore, right?
Okay. Yeah.
On a swipe read and or a true progression. Is it important for them to know? Absolutely. Do you want them to know? Absolutely. But do they have to know? I don't think that they do, because all they're checking is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do I like it? Yes, no. Move on to number 2. Do I like it? Yes, no. Move on. Do I like it? Yes. Hit it and go. What Joe was able to do was able to take those swipes and those progression reads and be able to speed through them mentally, but not physically, if that makes any sense. So mentally he would say, okay, I don't like 1. I might have 2 right here, but I got to stay on 2 because number 3 is going to take some time to develop. And I want to hold defenders over to that side as well. That's where he was really good, was being able to gather all the information that is needed pre-snap and on the snap and on the catch and verify, yeah, I like that look. No, I don't like that look. Let me go ahead and speed through mentally. Let me move this guy even a little bit more with my eyes and shoulder, knowing that I got this backside dig. about to pop immediately, maybe. So that's where the next level aspect with Joe kind of came into was things like that. And pass protections. I mean, he was a master of understanding where his hots were, understanding, where to slide the protection to. And he spent a lot of time studying defenses on that as well, too. And it also helps that his dad was a defense coordinator. And so, guys been around football for such a long time, too. All that stuff helps.
Yeah, no doubt. That's interesting. I always love a quarterback that understands protections and is able to protect themselves. And I think from my experience, the challenge has always been having the receivers on the same page with the quarterback that is that in tune.
Right. And there's two thoughts about that as well, right? So like I think 15 years ago, the big side adjust was a big thing, right? Man, I'm a point with one, it takes one. I point with two, it takes two, right? Well, I've always thought, though, if your quarterback is smart enough to know all those things, then he should be smart enough to change the protection, right? And so now you take away all the sights and all that kind of stuff. You got to change the slide and stuff like that. But I think you limit the opportunities. Now, they can still mess with you, right? They can show spin over here. I change it over here. They spin it back the other way, okay? That can still happen out there. Not saying they can't. But the odds of that, I think, are much, much less than me having a point and then you got to spend time with that receiver. No, man, it was the other guy. It wasn't this guy. No, it took two on this one, not one on this. And it's like we spent so much time on that stuff and you were probably really never hot 3 times for the whole year. So my philosophy now would be, man, don't even spend time on that. Like if your quarterback can understand who he's hot off, well, then let's just change the protection that way then and spend more time on that. My philosophy on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's about when I was coaching college football and having to solve those problems. Shoot, has it been that long? But I remember my QB being ready to throw a hot, and the guys wouldn't break it off. And we were dealing with that same thing you were talking about there. The RPO game has been really good, I think, to limit how much the quarterback has to handle, good or bad, right? Depending on how you look at it. How do you categorize your RPOs? Now, some people go into PROs, pass run options, SROs, screen run options, and they categorize it like that. What type of language do you use?
Like, I still think it's an RPO. I think we're all saying the same stuff. We're just kind of using, different language to get the same effects there, right? So what I found, I think is the easiest is you got a pre-snap side and you got a post-snap side. So you got a pre-snap, you got free access. So like if the out's there, you take the out, man, take the hitch, take the bubble because of leverage. If you're going to say no to that side, then your focus post-snap now is on your 7th defender, whether that's the star to the field, which is nickel, or the boundary safety, or maybe getting a cap from the boundary as well. Usually those 3 pieces are the ones that in 11 personnel sets are probably the most dangerous threats to your run. But depending on, how good your quarterback is, how much access do you want to give him? I remember back in 2018, Dave Aranda had me do a study on Alabama on their RPOs, and it was Tua, right? And so they're throwing 11 personnel sets, tight ends in the core, so they got 3 receivers out there. I forget, who they're playing, but this is a big cut up. And man, he's throwing glance after glance. So, 5-step speed post, and it's in the cover 2, and everyone is dropping out of there, and he's slinging it, and it's a run. It's counter, it's inside zone, it's duo, and he keeps throwing these things. So like I went back to Dave. I said, he ain't reading anything. He's just throwing it. Like if he thinks he can hit it, he's throwing it, man. Like there are no reads, right? So I think that's an option if you trust your quarterback and your receivers, like to that extent, right? That's a lot. But I think most of the time, I think the simpler version is simply saying, hey, you got a hitch route right here, man. Like if you got the hitch, man, take the hitch. If not, who's your stretch defender and what route culminate? Is it a bubble? Is it a slant? Is it a glance? Is it an out? That aspect should be beating what's behind it. But for the most part, though, I think the simpler version of yes, no, pre-snap, and then post-snap, who's my stretch defender, basically. That is, my opinion, the most simplest thing that you can do. And I'm sure there's other really cool versions out there, but that's what we did back in 19. That's kind of what we're doing still here a little bit. And I think it's the most effective still.
Yeah, I think no matter what you call it, coverage or all the different coverage modifiers and tags defenses have now, you still have people that are going to be in conflict, right? Like it's either going to be the safety or the star, right? Or an internal guy. And you still have to fit the run the same.
That's right.
And
that's
so,
exactly right.
Yeah,
that's exactly right.
No matter what you call it. Yeah.
And so we kind of favor, so like the term that we would say is, can that stretch defender make a play at or near the line of scrimmage? And if he can, throw it. If he can't, so that star out there, let's say he's Apex plus out there on number 2, but on the snap and on the ride, he's triggering, but he's triggering from way out there still, hand it off still.
Yeah.
The aspect as well, you got a boundary safety too. He's sitting at 14 and on the snap, man, he's triggering, but he's going to be at 8 yards when you hand the ball off. That's different than him being at 4 or 5 yards when you hand the ball off and things like that. So, I think the different level as far as how he's triggering and where he's triggering from is also important to talk about too as well.
Yeah. You've coached in the SEC, obviously Saban was in that conference. Kirby Smart's been in that conference for a long time. Other than those two, what defensive coach has given you guys the biggest problem that you face in that conference?
Yeah, so Mike Elko at him right now, probably the best third down package I think that anyone can ever do. He'd change it up. He'd mix it up from week to week, from game to game. So whatever beat that you thought you had on them, it didn't happen. They were showing on this side and they brought it from this side. They showed it from this side. Well, we thought they're going to bring it from the field, but they brought it to that side. They showed it here, up the gut, up the middle. So just that stuff would change week to week. But obviously Kirby, Smart, Coach Saban, I don't know those guys by first name basis. So what they would do, they would have a big game philosophy where they would save their best. What most coaches do, I think in the SEC, at least during that time, they would give you base defense on normal down and distance, right? So you just, you caught their odd front stuff, you caught their 4-down package. And then whenever a third down came, and that was their fun down right there. I think that's what they spent like all their time on, right? So then you would get like all the funky pressure packages there. But so we would have to go back sometimes years, 14 game breakdown, maybe 16 game breakdown. You're going back to like last year's Peach Bowl. You're going back to the SEC championship of whatever, because that's when they would bust out those funky packages there, right? So like against Vanderbilt, like they're not going to give them now maybe Vanderbilt this past year, but back then Vanderbilt, like,
right.
They're going to get pretty base looks right there. But, and then sure enough though, that stuff would pop up all of a sudden. And so, we wouldn't spend like a bunch of time as far as, chasing goes, but we would show some of those big game pressure packages, at least to Joe, maybe during a walkthrough, maybe during meetings, might just give him maybe 1 or 2 as far as during practice, try to give him most of the base stuff, but hey, off this as well, man. They also brought the boundary safety too as well, man. So just, be ready for that as well. So, little things like that. But yes, all those guys, all those coaches, elite at what they do. Watching
Texas A&M on film is fun. I love how technically sound they are and how everybody, all 11 could tackle.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool to watch that orchestration that Coach Elko is able to put together, and then the type of fundamentals that those players have, and obviously God-given ability.
That's right.
Coach, I know your time's valuable. It's June. It's 100 miles an hour here before you get a little bit of a break. I don't know if there is a break in NCAA college football anymore these days, but what draws your inspiration outside of football, Coach?
Back in the day, for instance, I think when I was much younger, I think the X's and O's kind of drove me a little bit, right? Man, I'm going to out scheme this guy, man. I got the perfect route on for this defense. It was all about plays, right? I think the older that I've gotten here now, it's less about plays. We're all running the same plays, man. We all got four vert switch. You got spacing concepts. You're running nakeds, RPOs. Like we're all doing the same stuff. Inside zone, counter, duo, power, whatever, right? But I think the servanthood mentality that now trying to get with my guys and get my players to play at their absolute best. I think I've taken more pride in that. I think that aspect has been more rewarding as well, from the standpoint of seeing that freshman walk in the door, doesn't know anything, doesn't know what a 4 down front is, what odd is, what cover 2, what cover 3 is, doesn't understand this pressure package, and then walking him through that stuff and teaching him our offense, teaching him the techniques needed, teaching him all aspects of football, and also seeing that kid grow as well, right? So like having those guys over to the house. It's true but unfortunate that a lot of our guys didn't have a family, didn't have dads, didn't have that male figure growing up. And so to be able to bring that guy into our house, for him to see how a husband and wife, how we interact, how I talk to my kids, how I have fun with my kids, that aspect has been a whole new aspect, which I take a lot of pride in. Now, we have to win football games. That's college football. If we don't win football games, we're packing up and we're moving. We get that. Okay. And I think that stuff is still important. But I also think though, that you can reach your guys more when they see that aspect of you and they know that you do care about them. It's a common phrase. It's an overused phrase, but when they know that you care, right, then I think you can get more out of them as well. And not that I'm doing that from a selfish standpoint, but really more so because now that I have older kids, I also want them to see that kind of example as well. So I think that's kind of where my mind has been kind of recently.
That's good, Coach. Man, I know having family for me and being a stepdad and really diving full speed into this thing 8 years ago, it's been eye-opening. I think a lot of us as young coaches, to your point, really want to impress our bosses or future bosses and network and try to set ourselves up to advance in the profession, at what costs, right? And developing the people and, understanding who you're serving and what the real goal of this is, because at the end of the day, 50 years from now, people aren't going to remember how great of a football coach you were. They're going to remember how you treated them. And so I think that's, I'm happy for you that you have that perspective and that's important to you. Could definitely see it. I know you've always been gracious with your time with me, and I'd be remiss. There's a couple people that are close to me, that are really close to you, that I want to make sure I bring up. Cesar Rivas and then Justin Schaefer. If you could just do a quick talk about Cesar and then Justin, just, what they mean to you and what they've meant to you in your life, that'd be a great.
Well, it's, kind of sad to say because I really haven't talked to Cesar in quite some time. I know he was battling some issues a few years ago and, sent him some text threads and stuff like that, but have not really been in touch with Cesar most recently. But you talk about probably one of the best human beings out there. There's probably, I don't think the good Lord made anyone like him. Big heart, loves his family, loves his friends, loves coaching ball as well. Just a great human being. And then Justin Schaefer, now a lifetime friend of mine, high school, well, in the Cesar as well. We all graduated from the same high school.
Hilltop Lancers.
Hilltop High School. Shout out to the Lancers. Shout out to the Lancers. And Justin has been a coaching friend as well. Has been a best friend of mine too. Was in my wedding. I've not had a chance to see any of those guys. Haven't had a chance to see you in years. I've not had a chance to get out back to the West Coast in quite some time. But look, you guys are always more than welcome to come down to Louisiana, to Raging Cajun land at the same time, man. But
love it.
Yeah. Hey, man, thanks for having me on though, man.
Absolutely, brother. I appreciate you, man. And until next time, Coach.
All right, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for joining us for Football IQ, presented by American Football IQ. If you want to help your players see the game better, think faster, and understand more, go check out American Football IQ and what they're building for players, coaches, and parents. That's at AmericanFootballIQ.com, or click the link in the description. Follow all we're doing at Coach and Coordinator Network, and follow us on X at Coach K. Grabowski.
Starting a business can seem like a daunting task, unless you have a partner like Shopify. They have the tools you need to start and grow your business. From designing a website to marketing to selling and beyond, Shopify can help with everything you need. There's a reason millions of companies like Mattel, Heinz, and Allbirds continue to trust and use them. With Shopify on your side, turn your big business idea into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.